A crochet club meeting at a biker bar, where you'd expect leather and engines, but instead, find yarn and a sense of community. That's right. We're talking about a place where the unexpected is the new normal. Part 1's OE. The rabbit hole wouldn't be my first choice for hosting a crochet club. The building is all old wood with small windows illuminated by neon beer signs. I knew I was going to a bar. The flyer on the library's bulletin board that shouted sip and stitch described a gathering of people interested in crocheting, knitting, sewing, and drinking. Sounded like a group I could get along with. To fulfill the sip, half of sip and stitch. A bar makes sense, but I imagine this place sits on the darker end of the watering hole spectrum. Maybe it's a hipster bar. Back home in Denver, I visited some beat, up-looking places, only to find them filled with people wearing designer jeans, $100 flannel shirts, and glasses with rims so thick you'd think half the grad student population was dealing with glaucoma. The rabbit hole could be one of those. Once I open this battered door, I might find myself in a speakeasy with artisan cocktails. In that case, my hands brush over my sweater and jeans, then finger comb my hair. Only once straight wig falls loose, which I count as a victory after walking 1.5 miles through Colorado country. Part of that on a dirt road with trees choking in on every side. At least I had the fading afternoon light on my way here. The return trip is going to be trickier, but I push that thought to the side as I finally pull open the door. To my eco extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Definitely not a hipster bar. The rabbit hole is just as rough looking on the inside as it is on the outside, which only makes me more curious about the members of Sip and Stitch. I scan the large room, taking in the heavy wooden bar against the back wall. Various furniture that I'd label steampunk meets Wild West. A pool table with leather, clads eat up, looking older dudes playing around, and a general feel that says, "We happy serve criminals of all kinds." Interesting. Other than the pool players, the only person in the place is a tatted, up guy behind the bar. A quick glance at my watch reveals that despite my height to get here, I'm still 15 minutes early. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. That's fine. Early's better than late, I mutter to myself, making my way toward the booze. The guys playing pool ignore me, but the bartender tracks every one of my steps, thick brows lowered as if my approach confuses him. Maybe the Sip and Stitch ladies have a particular table they usually claim. Still, it seems better to wait at the bar for them to arrive. Hello. I try a winning smile. The guy grunts, his eyes tracing over my form. The gesture doesn't seem sexual, more like a cataloging of information. I climb up onto a stool, settling my bag of supplies in my lap. Could I have a bourbon on the rocks? Bourbon always makes me friendly, and if I only get one drink tonight, I'm ordering a good one. Something local, from Colorado. If you've got it. Crap. Now I sound like a hipster. But really, any bourbon is fine. Another grunt. Then he turns away. A moment later, I have some liquid courage in a short glass. He didn't give me the name of the brew, but he hasn't said any actual words to me, so maybe that was expecting too much. I try not to look pretentious as I sniff the amber liquid before taking a sip. Whatever he gave me is good. Under the burn of the alcohol, there's a soft hint of caramel, teased with vanilla. As I enjoy the play of flavors over my tongue, I angle my chair toward the front door. Soon I catch a hint of female laughter carrying from outside. I smile at anticipation but lose some of my enthusiasm when the door opens. A group of women saunter in, but I doubt they're at hole for fiber crafts. They're dressed for a night out. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. It's night, and I'm out, but I'm not out like they're out. Specifically, I dress to combat the growing chill in the air. These 3 women are dressed as if they're ready to tell the cold to go fuck itself. Their Daisy Duke shorts and midriff, revealing tops make me wistful for hot summer days. Ones I've sadly waved goodbye to for the year. Ones these win and cling to an admirable manner. Now it's completely possible the members of SIP and Stitch treat the gathering like a tailgate party, but the bar's newest arrivals also have no kinds of supplies. Not even a purse between them. Not the group I'm waiting for. But I still offer a friendly smile when their sharp eyes settle on me. One smiles back with a wink, the other to dismiss me in favor of leaning on the bar to call out drink orders to Grunt. He has no name tag, so that's what I've named him. A small whinge of worry in my chest disappears when he doesn't talk to these women either. At least I'm not the only one unworthy of verbal acknowledgement. I go back to door gazing. The girls get their drinks and claim a table. Their laughter bringing brightness to the dingy bar. 5 minutes pass. I sip my drink. 10 minutes go. I realize I'm halfway through my glass and tell myself to slow down. Another 5. Shouldn't someone have shown up by now? Could they have cancelled this week's get together? The flyer had said sip, and Stitch met every Wednesday night at 7 p. Make the rabbit whole. No mention of blackout dates. And today is not any holiday I know of. I'm about to check if my phone gets service here, so maybe I can look up announcements on the library's website. When a soft roaring rumbles from outside the bar, the girls' chatter pauses briefly, then starts up again with renewed vigor. I take another precious sip of my bourbon as the familiar sound grows louder, giving me an unexpected taste of home, away for less than a week. But I guess I've been missing it. Soon there's an almost orchestra, level of roaring engines, the chorus practically surrounding the bar. That's what I realize they are. Apparently in small towns, holding a crocheting club at a biker bar is no big deal. Part to Zoe. The bikes begin to cut off their roaring engines, and I can envision a crowd of them lining up on the blacktop. I glance at my watch a half hour ago. 15 minutes late. Time for me to call it. Looks like my attempt at subverting my introverted tendencies has failed. I glance at the girls, wondering if I should go over and introduce myself. Try to make some friends anyway, but their smoky eyes continue to skitter toward the entrance, and I sense that I'd just be an obstruction to their evening entertainment. I face the bar and focus on the last of my bourbon, satisfied that I at least left the cabin and found myself a decent drink. Without anyone's prompting, Grunt puts 2 pitchers on the taps, filling them to the brim. Seems the regulars have arrived. Some bikes are still settling down when the front door's hinges squeak and deep voices fill the room. The once quiet bar is now overwhelmed with the noise of rowdy men. Or maybe I'm just the one feeling overwhelmed. The shouts and ribbing and grumbles and laughter shouldn't be unpleasant. Only, it's like taking a week vacation from work then finding out your boss booked to stay in the same hotel. I came to this town to get away from rambunctious men. Picking up my drink, I swirl the remaining liquid, considering finishing it off in one large swallow. But that's wasteful, and it's not as if the bikers are doing anything to me. In my peripheral vision, I watch the group claim a handful of tables. I can practically smell the leather. There's so much of it. Black jackets and vests, each with a huge patch on the back. Probably the name of their club. I'd have to turn and stare at one of them to find out. But that might result in unintentional eye contact. I try only to meet someone's eyes if I want to make conversation with them. And while I had considered making friends with a small group of women, this massive crowd of bikers is not my speed. Give me a handful of friends, and I'm good. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Hello Irish goodbye. But the tiny group is lost to me, having thoroughly enmeshed themselves within with the larger. They aren't the only women in the bar. The sight of some ladies in leather makes me smile against my glass. Good to know I'm not surrounded by a bunch of misogynists that don't allow women in their club. I mean, they still might be misogynists. It just seems slightly less likely. A flash catches my eye, tempting me to turn enough to seek out the errant sparkle. That's when I realize one of the Daisy Duke girls has on a set of cowboy boots covered in crystals. Bedazzled boots. Now there's a project. I file it in the back of my brain for future consideration, tearing my gaze away. I accidentally snag it on something even more distracting. A set of eyes. Oh no. Unintentional eye contact. Abort. Abort. But I can't. Not right away. Not when I'm staring at a set of irises the same beautiful gold as the liquid in my glass. Caught as I am in the bourbon stare. For the first time tonight, I start to feel tipsy. Part 3. One of the bar smells different. There's the normal mixture of beer, leather, old wood, motor oil, enthusiasm, and the sense of all my packmates. One of Courtney's friends was liberal with her perfume, but she's hung around the rabbit hole before, so I'm used to the smell. The hint that lurks underneath all those is what catches my attention. Something sweet and earthy, like maple syrup tapped directly from the tree. Doesn't take long to realize what's different about my normal haunt. She's sitting at the bar. A few of the other guys notice. To every one of them has as good a nose as I do. As we settle in, multiple heads turn toward the stranger. She keeps her face angled away from us, as if fully focused on her drink. The opposite reaction of Courtney and her two friends. We've barely got our butts in chairs before they're mixing in with us. The smallest of the group, one with red hair and big blue eyes, focuses on me. Not perfume girl. This one is new, although I've seen her around town. Not like the woman at the bar. The redhead's interest is flattering, and another night I might have folded myself into the larger group and flirted with her. But tonight, I want to solve the mystery of the newcomer with the tantalizing scent. I sidle over to my older brother. Roderick leans against a wall, performing what I am convinced is his favorite activity, emulating the unmoving intimidation of a stone gargoyle. But even as he holds himself still, I can sense the energy thrumming off him. We're all a little high after our ride. Soaring down the open road on our bikes is almost as good as a full moon run. Still, as our leader, Roderick would never let his baser nature make him look anything other than an unwavering hard ass. Who's that? I settle on the wall next to him, a little too close on purpose, my shoulder knocking into his. He doesn't even wobble. I'll have to try some other way to set him off balance. He glances toward the woman at the bar, then shrugs. Outsider. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. That's your best guess. She's not from here. My brother points out with a judgmental note in his voice. Anyone who isn't a local automatically lands on his shit list. Wow. You are a fount of information. Seriously. You should charge money for that kind of insider knowledge. Roderick growls at me, and I smirk at him before retreating. Normally, his grumpiness wouldn't faze me, but if I piss him off too much, he might decide to kick the stranger out. Moose owns the bar, but everyone knows who's really in charge. Hey Warner, why don't you come sit with us? Courtney has made her way over to me, grinning like she's about to do me a huge favor. My friend, Missy, she tilts her chin toward the redhead, wants to meet you. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She does. I'm a charming guy. I offer my cheek-highest grin, not making any promises. Courtney and I have been friends since diapers. And at some point, she made it her personal mission to act as my wing woman, probably because it exasperates me, which she finds hilarious. Nice boots, by the way. I've always dreamed of wearing a disco ball on my feet. She returns my smile with a saucy one of her own. You like, if you ask nicely. Maybe I'll make you a pair. She stretches out her toned, tanned leg, letting the little jewels on her boots catch the light. Something in her movements nags the attention of the mystery woman. Her head turns, stare seeking out Courtney's boots. She's cute. If there was a battle for the descriptor of hot, Courtney would win, but the woman still holds my focus with her dramatically curving cupid bow lip. Probably aware of just how interesting that lip is, she's gone so far as to pierce it. A tiny golden stud, like a beauty mark, makes it hard to convince myself to leave off staring at her mouth. Everything about her is brown and gold. Brown eyes, golden lashes, brown and golden brows bright against her pale skin. She's maple syrup poured over a perfectly cooked waffle. Then she meets my eyes. Finding me staring at her, she jerks back slightly. I expect her to blush, maybe duck her head, or if she's looking for a good time, give me an inviting smile. Mystery woman chooses none of the above. She stares back, just for a moment, before tightening her mouth in a polite smile. Then, after a shallow nod that seems to say I saw you staring, but we're done with that now, she turns back to her drink. Oh, denied. Courtney chuckles, having watched the barely existent exchange, about to retort. Undistracted when mystery woman reaches into the bag on her lap and pulls out what appears to be a mess of string. She fiddles with it for a moment, finally dislodging a metal implement. Her fingers manipulate the item, until I realize she's making something, like she's knitting. In a bar, a biker bar. I cannot see any reality where I end this night without speaking to a woman who brings crafts to one of the most dangerous places in town. I don't give up easily, I murmur, maneuvering around Courtney. Thoughtful Warner. Unfortunately, on my way to meet the mystery woman, the redhead named Missy acts as a roadblock, stepping into my path. I considered dodging around her, but I've never been the type to blow people off. She deserves respect, even if I don't want to date her. Every woman is interesting in her own way, but none have ever knitted while they flirted. Maybe that's why my hookups have dwindled over the past years. Hi, Warner. Right. Courtney told me about you. Missy blinks at me. Hopeful. Don't listen to anything she said. She's a notorious liar. I smile. So the girl knows I'm joking. And girl is the right word to describe her. This close, I'm able to see every detail of her sweet round face. And I'd put money down that she's only been able to get into a bar for a handful of months. I might even guess younger. But everyone in this town knows it's a costly bad idea to try a fake it at the rabbit hole. Oh, I don't think so. I can already see she was telling the truth about some things. Her gaze trails up and down my body, and I try not to sigh in frustration. Mystery woman sips her drink. Her glass is almost empty. When she finishes, will she leave? When she leaves, will she disappear? Jim. I reach out to grab the arm of the newest member of the club. He's a nice guy. Nervous, but nice. His eyes immediately land on Missy's low neckline, but then quickly jump up to her face. Jim, this is Missy. Missy, this is Jim. Did you know that Jim got into a fight with a bear? I'm not even lying. It's a badass story. Her perfectly shaped eyebrows curve up. To my agent extraordinaire, Mythical Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Jim reaches back to scratch his neck. Self-conscious, but he grins at the girl. I'll let you tell it. I give him an encouraging push, relieving myself of any guilt about abandoning the guerrilla warfare dating setup. The rabbit hole has never seemed so crowded before. It's like every member in the club wants to call out my name or stand in my path. By time I reach the bar, it's all I can do not to collapse into the stool beside Mystery Woman. Pulling myself together, I sit down and lean my elbows on the bar, like I'm more interested in getting Moose's attention than catching her eye. My act crumbles the sec and she turns her head to look at me. I'm not about to play hard to get when all I want is to hear her voice. Will it sound as good as she smells? She's fucking intoxicating, and she's also silent, which means my mouth takes the lead. You looking to join the club? Because I gotta tell you, it's a rigorous initiation process, and I'm not convinced you're up for it. Her maple brown eyes widen as she stares at me. Which club? The Dark Moon Riders. I turn my back to her briefly, showing off the patch on my vest, then leaning close, doing my best to be subtle about the fact that I'm breathing in more of her scent. This close I could easily drown in it and die happy. You're in our bar. You know, some other guys here would add an edge to their voice. To my agent extraordinaire, Mythical Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. But I keep my words light. She's the last person I want to scare. And why is that? She glances behind me at the group that's getting rowdier with every pitcher of beer, then scans the entire bar. There's only a shadow of curiosity on her face, not a single bit of fear. Not I want her to be afraid, but sometimes fear is the smartest reaction to have. Is this a bar you all happen to drink at, or is it your bar? She watches me, her fingers still moving, looping and hooking the yarn as if all she needs is touch to create whatever she's making. The rabbit hole is dark moon territory. I can't take my eyes off her hands. The motion is hypnotizing. I imagine her fiddling with her project in front of a warm fireplace, curled up in an overstuffed chair, the flickering light playing with the gold in her hair. And when the night grows cold, and the fire isn't warm enough to keep her from getting chilled, she'll look around for a blanket, but I'll have the only one, and she'll have to crawl under it with me, so I can keep her warm. Territory. That sounds a little possessive, but I guess you're not too restrictive on who you let in. Right. Since the crochet club meets here, this stops my mind on its imaginary trip. I examine her face, trying to decipher if she's joking, but there's no playful smile or silly wink. She just watches me, waiting for a response. Crochet club. She nods. I saw the flyer at the library. Sip and stitch at the rabbit hole every Wednesday evening. She holds up her yarn, but I guess they cancelled tonight's meeting. Unless you all. Her busy fingers take a break as she waves to indicate the group of bikers behind me. I bite my lip until I have my grin under control. Unless we all do any of you crochet. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The hopeful raise of her brows sets off an excited buzz in my chest. I shake my head. Middle point. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I think you've got the wrong place. Her face drops, a frown twisting her lips. But, the flyer here, can you hold this? The craft she's been working on gets shoved into my hands before she dives into her bag. I sit patiently, gritting all the while. She's blatantly uncaring that she's not only making some kind of scarf in the middle of a biker bar, but that she also just asked one of said bikers to hold her project while she hunts through her purse. Who is this woman? Got it. She pulls out her phone and swipes her thumb across the screen. I took a picture of the flyer. Look. Tilting the device so I can see. She zooms in on a neon blue flyer. See Sip and Stitch. Every Wednesday, 7 p. At the when she pauses, I finish for her. Wild rabbit. Damn. She whispers, glaring at her phone. Double down. The curses are sweet on her lips. They make me want to hear more dirty words from her mouth. After a weary sigh, she downs the last of her bourbon and retrieves her yarn, creation from me, only to stow it into her bag. Are you leaving? I can't stifle the tinge of disappointment in my voice. To rabbit bars. Insane town. Is there something I don't know about? She mutters to herself, ignoring my question and laying cash down beside her empty glass before typing something on her phone. That might help with tourism. Make everything in town revolve around rabbits. We could have a whole festival. Maybe a running of the rabbits. Fill the streets with them. My jokes come out fast and desperate. Because she's leaving. I want to get her to laugh. Get her to stay. She pauses, raising her eyes from her phone, awarding me her full attention at a brief smile. Only, the expression seems sad, which might as well be an energy drink for my curiosity. Thanks for sitting in my vicinity. I guess. Have a good night. Biker boy. Biker boy. She doesn't know my name. I never told her my name. And she hasn't given me hers. This is not how this ends. As she heads toward the exit, my instincts demand I do something. Anything. Because the second her sweet scent teased my nose, filled my lungs, my wolf took notice, Part 5 Zoe the wild rabbit is on the other side of Pine Falls. At least a 3-mile walk. I frown at the map on my phone. Its little lines telling me that there's no way I'll make it to this week's zip and stitch. The bar door creaks open, spilling light out into the quickly darkening parking lot. Mystery girl. Wait up. The amber-eyed biker with a handsome smile jogs toward me. You walked away before I could ask your name. The gravel grinds together under his heavy black boots, staring up into his face. I decide he's just a little bit too pretty to be an intimidating biker. His chalked brown hair curls softly around his ears and brushes cheekbones that must have been sculpted from purdy marble. He needs something to grunge him up. Maybe a coat of scruff to hide the charming dimple in his chin. Shaving the shampoo commercial, worthy curls would do it. But anyone who'd suggest such a thing would be doing the world a disservice. So can I have it? He's grinning down at me, and I realize I've forgotten what he was asking. Have what? His lips stretch wider. And there, on the side of one canine tooth, sits a slight chip. The little imperfection is strangely endearing. Your name? Oh sure, I'm Zoe Gunner. I offer my hand, and he wraps his fingers around mine. His palm is warm in the cool night air, and I'm not sure I've ever had a more comforting handshake. Warner Jameson. He hangs on to me slightly longer than is socially acceptable, but I don't mind. My fingers get cold easily, and he's a friendly furnace. Eventually, to my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He lets me go. You heading over to the wild rabbit? I shake my head, trying not to frown too hard. Sip and stitch was the perfect excuse to get me out of the house, and I screwed it up. I won't make it in time. Warner waves that off. They're maybe 10 minutes down the road. That flyer said it went till 9. 10 minutes if I was driving. I mutter, doing the math in my head. It's already 7:30. If I hustle, I can probably walk 3 miles in an hour. Still enough time to introduce myself around and crochet a few rows. Might be worth it. Did you walk here? Zoe, yes. I don't pay Warner much attention as I stare down the dark road toward town. Time isn't the biggest problem. I'm not contemplating walking miles through a bustling metropolis. Pine Falls is a small town with nature pushing in on all sides. Do you all have issues with wild animals? I turn back to Warner, glad to have a local on hand. He stares at me, his expression seeming to war between confusion and fascination. We're in the Rocky Mountains, so yeah, there are wild animals. That makes things trickier. My hand dives into my bag, pushing through the assorted items that have congregated in the bottom, eventually grasping hold of what I'm searching for. The flashlight I brandish is small but powerful as I flick it on. Do you think this would scare them off? Personally, I find the beam of light impressive. His head shake is slow, his smile amused. Maybe a skunk, but a mountain lion wouldn't give 2 shits. And there are larger predators than that in these woods. Shoot. I sigh and point the beam in the opposite direction, toward my grandma's cabin. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Safe a distance away. Are you going home? His question caused me turning, and that's when I realized I was about to march off without another word to Warner the biker guy. I'm staying just over a mile down the road. Maybe I shouldn't have shared that. Too late now. You know, he steps forward, situating himself in my path. I could drive you. Part 6 Warner helmet. Please. Zoe holds her hand out. You're not worried about messing up your hair. I unsnap a saddlebag and pull up a half helmet I'd barely ever bother with. Her lips twist to the side in a grimace. I'm betting a skull fracture would do a hell of a lot more to mess with my side part. Before she can take the head protection from me, I'm already settling it in place, enjoying the silky brush of her hair against my fingertips as I go to snap the buckle. After tightening the chin strap, I slide a finger in between the strap and her chin, noticing the flutter of her pulse. I can't pass up any opportunity to touch her. Still, I don't linger. If I come on as strong as my instinct clamor to, I might scare her away. Slow and steady. Let her come to me. I step to my bike, about to throw a leg over, when Zoe's hand on my arm stops me. Where's yours? My what? She gives me a look. You trying to be dense? Look. Your helmet. I'm good. I flash her my most confident smile. My lady-catching smile, as my sister dubbed it. Must be losing my touch because Zoe crosses her arms and glares at me now. Anyone riding a motorcycle should be wearing a helmet. Sure, any human should wear one, I want to say, but I keep that distinction to myself. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilbe, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I ride without one all the time. If I thought she was glaring before, it's nothing compared to the intense smolder that furrows her brows. Zoe steps forward, placing a hand flat on my chest, almost in a caress. Then she fists my shirt and drags me close. Put on a helmet now. Her growl is impressive for a human. Zoe Warner, I swear to whatever biker god you pray to, if you do not wear a helmet, I will find a way to supergirl one to your head. She gives another tug, rising on her tiptoes to get in my face, voice dropping low with menace. And trust me when I say, however much Supergirl you think I have, her fierce eyes scorch. You are underestimating. That last threat sounded like she was spelling out how she planned on murdering me. In my entire life, I've never wanted to kiss a woman as badly as I do Zoe Gunner in this moment. Part 7. Zoe. The wild rabbit sits on a corner of Main Street. I light with a warm glow and inviting laughter that spills out the front door as a couple exits. Hand in hand. Above the door hangs a sign with the name and a hand-painted bunny balancing a serving tray with a frothy mug of beer. This atmosphere makes sense for a crochet group. Still, I can't help but wonder how the dynamic would be different if a group of women claimed half of the rabbit hole every Wednesday night to drink and stitch and gossip. Would the atmosphere be tense? Or would the night end with the crocketers handing the bikers their asses at the pool tables? I guess we'll never know. The bike rocks as Warner parks it along the curb and pushes out the kickstand. The man is a good driver. After the helmet issue, I was worried, but he kept to the speed limit, used his signals, and made it an all-around smooth ride. There combined the vibration of the bike between my legs and the comforting heat radiating off his back as my lady parts taking all sort of notice, which is ridiculous. I've known the guy for maybe 30 minutes. You want to head inside? If not, we can go for a longer ride. The biker smiles at me over his shoulder. At his suggestion, I realize I've been silently admiring Warner's driving skills while we sit on a now dormant motorcycle. Another time, I say as I dismount. Even though I should be declining the invite with a firm but friendly refusal, I'm attending sip and stitch to avoid my helmet tendencies. That does not mean I need to start flirting with a sexy man. But that's a lie, and I know it. If I let anyone close, I'm bound to love them. That's just the way it goes. I don't seek people out because I'm fine on my own, but those who figure out a way into my life earn my love almost in spite of myself. And Warner's helpful ways and charming smile are strong indicators I could like him, which means I could love him. I did not come to Pine Falls to find love. I came here to figure out if I could survive without it. Part 8. Zoe. This trip is for me and me alone. Firmly resolved not to fall for the helpful biker, I turn to wave him goodnight, only to find him a step behind me. What are you doing? The question comes out more abrupt than I mean it to. But abrupt is my default setting. Warner doesn't seem to mind as he gifts me with a cheeky grin. You're so determined to get to this sip and sew thing. No way can I leave without checking it out. Sip and stitch. I correct, then wait, staring at him. Sip and stitch. He amends, giving what I expect is supposed to be a humble nod. The affect is ruined by his twitching lips. It would be easier to be annoyed with him if he wasn't the perfect combination of sexy and adorable. All right, you can come in, but don't embarrass me. Biker boy. This is my only shot to make a first impression, and I'm already late. Sure thing. Mystery girl. Warner steps forward, placing his hand on my lower back as if he plans on guiding me into the bar. But the position strikes me as too much like the couple that I just saw heave, and I don't need to give anyone, including myself. I speed my steps up until his hand falls away. Call my mystery girl if you know my name. I pass through the door, holding it open long enough for him to catch the edge. A name is barely anything. There's a lot more I plan on learning. Well, I'm not holding lessons. I'll learn on the job. Glad to know you think spending time with me is work. That gets him. He booms out a laugh that luckily fits in with this vibrant, crowded restaurant. The cheerful sound makes me want to join in, but I shove away the urge. For some reason, I get the sense that Warner's the one used to making people laugh, and I've somehow accomplished something by charming the comedian. I make my way to the bar, leaning on it to get a bartender's attention as I take in the many framed rabbit pictures hanging haphazardly between bottles of alcohol. There's even a calcboard with a list of ketonital cocktails. Yeah, this place is very different than the rabbit hole. A second away from ordering an Easter Bunny bourbon, I stop myself. Your limit is 1. I ask for a soda water with lime. As my drink is poured, Warner settles at my side. I think we found your group. At his subtle nod, I glance toward the back corner. Dingo. A gathering of about 8 women sits chatting and drinking around a table situated under a portrait of the Velveteen Rabbit. Each one holds a fabric craft. Their ages look to range from 20s to 50s, which also makes me giddy. A lot of times these types of groups are made up of only women my mom's age, and I feel like the inexperienced baby of the club. Good eye. Thanks for the ride. I slide cash to the barman as he sets down my glass. His drink is on me. The biker raises his eyebrows as I toast him before navigating the crowd to the group I've been struggling to find all night. A couple of the women notice my approach and offer curious smiles. Please don't be annoyed that I'm late. Once I'm on the perimeter, their conversations trickle off as each one studies me. Hello. I'm so sorry I'm late. I'm new to town, and misread the flyer, and ended up at the wrong place. Is it a problem if I join you all? To prove my legitimacy, I reach into my bag, pulling out my half-finished hat. I get a few more smiles, and one woman leans forward. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nolben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You can join us. May I ask your name? I'm Zoe Gunner. There's some murmuring from the group as eyes trace over my face. I'm Amy Spencer. The woman offers with a warm smile that creases her tan cheeks. You wouldn't be related to Minnie Gunner, would you? She was my grandmother. I'm so sorry for your loss, Amy says. You look so much like your mother. Is Selena in town with you? I shake my head. Just me. I'm cleaning out Minnie's cabin so we can put it up for sale. Amy nods with another, sad smile. The other women start offering their names. They're about halfway around the circle when I notice the welcoming smiles dropping from some of the faces. By time we reach the last in the group, I'd say a third have changed their attitudes toward me. I can't fathom why. Until I'm Warner. At the sound of his jolly proclamation, I realize the biker didn't stay back at the bar. He stands directly behind me. Part 9's Oe Warner followed me to my crafters meeting. The ladies, disquiet begins to make sense. My bet is this group of crafters is not used to having guys from the local motorcycle club approaching them while they gathered here. I've brought an interloper. Yes, Warner, Amy says. We know who you are. You've decided to join us for Sip and Stitch. While some of the women look uncomfortable, or downright hostile, Amy gives Warner an almost maternal smile as she questions him. May I ask what project you brought to work on? Got my project right here. His shoulder bumps mine, and I glance back at him with surprise. Caught off guard, I find myself stammering. I didn't bring anything for you to work on. I scowl at him. I didn't even know you until a half hour ago. Warner's cheeky grin makes another appearance. You're my project. Goal is to be your best friend by the end of the night. The women in the group titter. That's right. They titter, like a cluster of ladies in a Regency ballroom. Warner is a puppy. He's just too enthusiastic and cute to deny. I face the sip and stitch girls again. If we quiet, would it be all right if we both join you? I don't a particularly pinch-mouthed woman starts, but Amy cuts her off. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. This group is open to any who would like to join. Our only rules are to be respectful. Amy's eyes flit over to the woman who had begun what I think must have been a protest and to have fun. Please, pull up some chairs. Before I can search the surrounding tables, Warner is already sliding a seat against the back of my knees. I plop down on the cushion, and the women on either side of me shift their chairs until my new biker buddy has space to adhere to the mix. For a moment, awkward silence hangs over the group. Then one woman asks another about a book she recently read, and the conversations all start up again, slowly at first, but gaining momentum. The lady next to me, Kathy, compliments my crocheting, and I show her the progress I've made on my hat. Well, not my hat. I plan on giving it to one of my brothers, probably Donovan, with his close, cropped hair. She shows me a cross stitch, a beautiful cluster of colorful flowers, and I have no trouble complimenting her skillful needlework. The exchange is polite, but pleasant, and I feel like I'm making a successful effort to step out of my hermit cave. Taking a sip of my drink requires juggling, and I find myself adjusting my legs again and again to keep my yarn in my lap. The setup isn't optimal, making it hard to enjoy the sip aspect of this gathering. Glancing to my left where Warner sits, being quiet and well behaved, I can't help the envy that spikes through me at the sight of his spacious lap. Under his jeans is a lovely set of muscular thighs. He's basically got a sturdy shelf automatically built in. If he wants to be my friend, then that means helping me out. Right. I lean over to whisper in his ear. Can you hold my balls? Warner chokes, doubling over to cough out some beer he breathed in. I slap his back a few times, wondering if this aggressive aid has ever really helped. Once his throat clears and he's done wiping tears from his eyes, Warner gives me his full attention. Could you repeat that? My balls keep rolling everywhere. I indicate the yarn in my lap that even now teeters, just a second away from falling onto the floor. Do you mind holding them? In your lap. The biker doesn't hesitate. He plucks the yarn from me and settles it in the dip where his legs meet, as if he doesn't care that he's not only the lone man in our group, but I've now asked him to be my yarn assistant. Warner takes another swig of his beer and grins at me. Damn, this man is dangerous. Part 10 Warner. This is Minnie's old place, isn't it? I ask once we pull up to the cabin and I cut off the engine on my bike. You knew her. Only in passing. She didn't come into town much. Millie Gunner was a woman more prone to glares than smiles. The few times our paths crossed, she had a much different reaction to my jokes than her granddaughter. She wasn't a fan of people. At least, that's what I've been told. You weren't close. That would explain why I've never met Zoe despite having spent my entire life in Pine Falls. Nope. I basically just know that she was my grandmother. The cabin has a spooky air, with its dark windows and the shadowy forest looming behind it. Are you staying here by yourself now? Zoe dismounts from the bike, taking her teasing warmth with her. I've got Bruce with Mayho. I managed to keep the word from sounding tense. Still, my hands clench into fists on my thighs. Of course a woman as quirky and beautiful and delicious-smelling as Zoe would have a man following after her, who wouldn't fight for a chance to win her affections. I'm debating asking how serious things are with this Bruce guy when aloud. Intimidating barking fills the quiet night air. That's him. Are you scared of dogs? Zoe throws the question over her shoulder as she mounts the front porch. Could she mean? There's another commanding bark as she opens the screen door. Speak now or else you're about to come face to face with Bruce Banner. Or maybe the Hulk. Depends what mood he's in. The shadowy night obscures Zoe's features, but I'm pretty sure she's grinning at me as she slides her key into the lock. I love dogs. I call out just before the wooden front door is pulled wide and a massive form barrels toward me. The lumbering creature is easily 200 pounds. I hurry to stand up off my bike, worried the dog might topple me and the machine over with one swipe of his huge paws. When he's only a handful of feet away from me, Bruce slows to a stop, sniffing the air. I can guess what's thrown him off. I may look like a man, but that doesn't mean I smell like one. In this way, dogs are more perceptive than humans, something I'd have to spell out for Zoe. Bruce has discovered with a few deep breaths. I'm a werewolf. To put him at ease, I crouch down so our heads are level. We meet eyes, and I enjoy the curious confusion in his liquid brown gaze. As I extend my hand, I hum an nonsensical noise in the back of my throat, knowing that the dog will find it soothing. After a moment, there's a wet nose snuffing my palm. Push over. My brothers wouldn't be happy to know that this is how you act as guard dog. I grin up at Zoe as I scratch the mastiff's ears. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nobel, thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Dogs love me, she snorts, her attention drifting away, and I realize she's staring over at an ancient truck. The reason she was walking alone, at night, into a biker bar. You said it wouldn't start. Zoe's eyes snap back to me when she realizes I noted the direction of her gaze. She nods with a sigh. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Probably have to get a tow truck out here. Hopefully it isn't forever dead. Still, it was my mom's truck, so I guess it would be poetic for it to meet. It ended her childhood home. You mind if I take a look? I'm already moving toward the vehicle, wanting to discover what might be wrong with it. Zoe steps down from the front porch to follow me. Do you know your way around cars? I've always meant to learn. The idea of Zoe bent over an engine is sexy as fuck. I help out the local mechanic, so I know enough. What happens when you try to start it? Nothing. Literally. No lights turn on. It doesn't try to sputter to life. Dead. Interesting. I pop the hood, but even with my advanced eyesight, I can't see much. Got a light? Sure. About the only thing my phone is good for out here. Zoe turns on the flashlight capability, apparently preferring to use that then dig around for the actual flashlight in her bag. No service. I ask while examining the wiring. Nope. Not unless I want to climb up in the old treehouse out back. Up there I get one. Maybe 2 bars if I'm lucky. She steps closer, watching my movements over my shoulder. A light breeze has a maple fragrance swirling around me. I have a theory about her scent's effect on me, but I'm not jumping to any conclusions until I talk to my brother. Still, I want her to press up against me. Let me bury my nose in the juncture of her collar, and next so I can get lost in that delicious smell. I concentrate on the engine. That's when I spot the obvious problem. Cart 11 Warner here. Found the issue. There's a wire that dangles loose, clearly missing its home. Without this attached, the battery won't work. Do you have a wrench? I'm going to need to tighten the bolt to keep it in place. I know I saw a toolbox. I think it's in the front closet. Zoe strides back to the house, taking the light with her. In its retreating glow, I watch the way her shapely body moves. That pair of jeans is hugging her ass as if the material finds her as attractive as I do. I should look away. A decent guy wouldn't be gawking at her. But she's just so able. All those soft curves have my fingers curling. I want to feel her, grip her, but not too hard. I want to sink into her. Fuck. Now I'm getting hard, trying to distract myself. I turn back to the engine. Without the light, I can't see all the nuances. But now that I know where the problem is, I reach out to finger the loose wire. I'm simultaneously grateful for this malfunction and annoyed. Because her truck wasn't working, I was able to convince her to get on the back of my bike. But I don't like the idea of her vehicle failing on her. It's not unheard of for a battery wire to come loose, but only if whoever last worked on Zoe's truck didn't do their job right. What else might they have messed up? This is all I've got. Well, as far as I know, I'm not even a quarter of the way through her stuff. Zoe hobbles back, lugging a large metal box. She drops it next to me and holds up her light so I can see. The tools inside it jumbled together, but I'm able to find a wrench. What all is in here? Zoe crouches at my side, still holding the light, but also reaching in to sift through the tools. Well, that's a hammer. And there's a screwdriver, Warner. She cuts me off. If you try to mansplain tools to me, I'm going to convince Bruce to piss on your bike. Zoe's dry comment has me choking on a laugh. I just wanted to know what Minnie had in case I need to use it. She riffles through the items. I stare at her, not even trying to pretend I don't find her fascinating. Not much, just the basics. She mutters. Is there a good hardware store in town? The question has my pulse thrumming. I know exactly where to send her. Sawdust and supplies. I catch a curl at the edge of her mouth. Good. She likes the name. Just a matter of time before she shows up to the place, assured that tonight isn't the only night I'll run into Zoe Gunner. I'm able to return to the task at hand with enthusiasm. It's not long before the wire is sitting back in place. Still, a thought is snagged in the back of my head, and I can't shake it loose. She's so close. My mind gets muddled. Soaking in her scent, I shake my head and breathe through my mouth. It barely helps. Still, her answer is important. Do you remember the check engine light coming on the last time you drove the truck? She's quiet for a minute, and when I glance her way, I see a thoughtful expression on her face as she chews her lip. When she releases the poor abused lip, I want to lean in and soothe it with my tongue. Not yet. Go slow with her. I don't think so. But honestly, I can't remember. Was it supposed to turn on? If the wire came loose while you were driving, then yeah. I don't say the rest out loud, but I can't help thinking it. If the light didn't turn on, that means the wire came loose after the truck was shut off. And the only way I can see that happening is if someone popped the hood to the battery. I guess it did then. I'm still getting used to Minnie's driveway. My eyes are usually more focused on the road than my dashboard. Zoe shrugs, the light moving with the motion. She's probably right. Yet, for some reason, the idea of someone messing with Trot won't leave my mind as I climb back on my bike and rev it to life. Keep her safe. Protect her. The thoughts come through clear and in a distinctly growling tone. My wolf is more present than I've ever felt before. I wonder if that's something I should be worried about. Part 12's Oi Hello. I call out, bending at a strange angle to stick my head into the hardware shop while leaving the rest of my body outside. Hello. A middle-aged white woman with thick dark hair pulled back from a beautifully angular face steps out from behind the register, approaching me with a tilt to her brow. The expression looks familiar, but I don't remember ever meeting her before. She's not one of the sip and stitch girls, but maybe she was in the Wild Rabbit last night. Hi there. I would love to come in your store and spend more money than I probably should, but I need to ask you a question. That smirking curve to her lips also tickles at my memory. And what's that? I shift to the side so she can see who's lingering behind me. Bruce sits on the sidewalk, looking like the well-behaved mammoth he is. Does your store allow dogs inside? The woman grins wide, seeing as how I'm the owner and make all the rules. I say yes. We have dogs in here all the time. As long as he doesn't chew on anything important, we'll get along just fine. What a relief. Bruce does not do well being left alone in the car. Alone in the house. Perfectly fine. Someone in the car with him. No problem. But the minute I shut the driver's door and walk away, he sets to howling. I'm not sure I've heard a more pathetic sound. Passers-by always think he's wounded or one step away from dying. But no, he's just dramatic. Thank you. I smile at the woman as I open the door wider and pull my overgrown puppy in after me. He trundles into the store, sniffing the tiles with mild curiosity. If I had planned on visiting the hardware store today, I would have left Bruce at home. This was just supposed to be a get out of the house outing, where we could wander around the town and see what there was to see. Map out places where I could utilize WI, find it back to work for my website design clients. But then I saw the sign for sawdust and supplies, and I couldn't resist its siren call. That's a big boy you have there. The store owner hooks her thumbs in her pockets, grinning at the two of us. I'm sure I would have remembered seeing him around town. You two knew. I nod. We've been here just over a week. I pat Bruce's head, which is conveniently as high as my waist. Then I rummage in my bag for the list of supplies I wrote up a couple of days ago. I'm not done cleaning out all the odds and ends in the cabin, but I've already got ideas for refurbishing some of the furniture. I'm looking for a few things, if you wouldn't mind helping me out. To my agent extraordinaire, Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She accepts the list, her eyes scanning the items. So where are you all staying? But a place. We're in a cabin about 20 minutes north of town. Off Birch Road. Birch Road. You mean the Gunner place? Up until this moment, the woman's questions all had a tone of mild curiosity, but these carry a sharp note of interest. Is Grandma Minnie's cabin really that fascinating? That's the one. The woman's golden gaze traces over me rather than my list. You rent it. No, my family owns it. I'm Zoe Gunner. The woman who lived there was my grandmother. The shop owner's eyes go wide, and I get the feeling I'm missing something. Selena's your mother. Oh, sometimes I forget that despite never visiting Pine Falls before, these people still have a shared history with my family. Do you know her? Knew her? The woman's mouth goes tight at the corners. Lost touch after she left. Well, isn't that great? Apparently, Mom left some people behind when she moved to Denver and never looked back. My mother is a vibrant personality. She can make someone fall in love with her in a minute. Losing that love probably doesn't feel too good. I'd be happy to tell her I ran into you next time I get her on the phone. Just I'm sorry. I don't know your name. She gives me a small smile as the tension in her body fades away. I'm Rebecca Jameson. But don't worry about it. We weren't that close. Let's go find you these bits. She turns and heads down the nearest aisle. I try not to look surprised at the discovery of her last name. Jameson. No doubt related to Warner Jameson. Maybe his mother. Or older sister. And not completely out of the realm of possibility, his wife. I gauged Warner at late 20s. But it wouldn't be the first time an older woman and younger man got together. My bet would still be on blood relation. But because I have no idea, I decide to keep my mouth shut. Sawdust and Supplies is the only hardware store in Pine Falls, and I do not want to piss off the owner by unknowingly reading I rode on the back of her husband's bike. And also just possibly flirted with him. Best to keep my mouth shut. 15 minutes later, I'm at the register racking up a hefty bill on my credit card, but there were just so many lovely tools. I reach out a finger to stroke an electric Dremel that I can't wait to use on a certain rocking chair. Zoe. The familiar voice elicits goosebumps down the back of my neck. Warner Jameson. Part 13's Zoe. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that I've run into Warner here, now that I know he's somehow connected to the owner of the shop. When I turn, he stands framed by the doorway, midday light making his edges glow. Kai Warner, you two know each other. Rebecca's eyes flick between us. Please don't be his wife. Please don't be his wife. Hey, Mom. Oh, thank the universe. Yeah. We met at Sip and Sip and Stitch. I correct? To my agent extraordinaire, Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. My bad. Warner saunters into the store, and I can't help noticing the difference in his appearance. At the biker bar he'd been in a black t-shirt, jeans, and his leathers. Today, he is on jeans again, but pairs them with a torn tank top that shows off his arms, and a neon safety vest. The bright color should look garish, but it only helps to enhance the tan shade of his skin. His hair is slicked back from his face, sitting flat against his head in a funny way. My guess is the result of wearing a hard hat. Do you work on a construction crew? Warner grins down at his vest and ruffles a hand in his hair. What gave me away? Why were you at Sip and Stitch? Rebecca is clearly still stuck on how her son met the new girl in town. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He aims a charming grin at his mother, which she answers with a grimace. You're sassing me. Never, he responds, still smiling before turning back to me. What did you buy? Please tell me power tools. There is nothing sexier than a woman wielding power tools. He's teasing me, a wicked glimmer in his eyes, and I get the urge to give it back to him. That's good to know. I would hate to have spent so much money on props for my porno only to find out power tools aren't sexy. I keep a straight face through the delivery. Warner's mouth drops open, then morphs into a delighted grin. You're not helping. He's already hell to deal with on a normal day. Rebecca mutters as she sets my bags on the counter. Apologies. Damn. I was so focused on flirting with Warner, I forgot I was standing in front of his mother. Besides, I shouldn't be flirting. He might think I'm interested in something more than friendship, which I am definitely not. Ruining my fun. Warner murmurs, still wearing a happy smile. So, how does our small town hardware store compare to the retail giants in Denver? This place has everything I need, and more than I can afford. I glance back at the aisles, trying to stifle my longing. I may be back for that table saw after I sell a few organs. Rebecca smirks as she prints my receipt. The McGiver. You can borrow mine. Warner moved closer, his gaze tracing over me, leaving a disconcerting tingle in its wake. I might have a few more tools you can use if you want. Was that supposed to have a double meaning? Either way, now my mind is focused on one particular tool Warner carries with him at all times, and all the ways I could use it. You trying to take my business from me? Rebecca scowls at her son, but there's a smile in her eyes. Of course not. Just being neighborly. He walks around the counter to press a kiss to her cheek, before hefting one of my bags off the counter. I'm on my lunch break. Wanna grab a sandwich? Mystery woman. He circles back around to crouch down in front of Bruce, scratching behind his floppy ears. Or should I ask your man for permission? Loading my arms up with the rest of my new materials. Bruce knows I'm done with domineering men. He's happy to follow my lead as long as I'm handing out treats along the way. When I tilt under the weight of one of my bags, Warner stands and goes to grab it. I turn, holding the bag just out of his reach. How am I going to get strong enough to carry it if you take it from me? Warner pauses, staring down at me as if fascinated with what he sees. Then his grin comes back, wide and welcoming, and handsome for any man. You're right. Sorry about that. His reaction is refreshing as my dad's homemade lemonade. Nothing like what my brothers would have done. Abram would have told me to stop being stupid and used his longer arms to reach around me and grab the bag. Byron would give me puppy dog eyes and what's on about how he just wants to help me out, and how he never sees me anymore, and how he feels so useless sometimes, until I'm guilted into giving up my burden. Carver would make a joke about my spaghetti arms, then tickled me until I physically couldn't hold the bag anymore. Donovan wouldn't say anything. He's all about the sneak attack. The second I let my guard down, he'd creep up behind me and snatch the bag from my hand. But Warner doesn't do any of that. He listens to me, and for some reason that seems dangerous. Mainly because I like it so much. Cart for Teen Warner. It seems you're a fan of large dogs. A snide voice comes from just ahead of us on the sidewalk, forcing me to take my eyes off of Zoe's smiling face. Hello, Mrs. Applewood. I keep my voice cordial, even as the sneering woman makes that hard to do. Her animosity toward me is only slightly understandable. I'm a wolf. She hates wolves, mainly because her daughter is dating one of the pack members. As Zoe adjusts Bruce's leash in her hands, she glances between the two of us, clearly picking up on the tension but having no idea where it's coming from. And it's not like I can explain, as much as I'd like to. I'm a werewolf, but a friendly one. Can I please bury my face in your neck to smell more of your delicious earthy scent that I pick up with my supernatural nose? And after that, can I carry you back to my place and show you just how friendly I can be? But I don't say any of that yet. After a conversation with Roderick, I have a good idea what Zoe's alluring scent means for me. I keep my tone cordial. You met Mrs. Applewood at Sip and Stitch. Recognition dawns in my companion's eyes, and she turns back to the frowning woman with a genuine smile. Yes, you were making quilting squares, weren't you? I haven't tried quilting yet, but I want to. Do you have any tips? Is there a good fabric store in town? With her curious questions, Zoe takes a step toward Mrs. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Who looks stunned at the enthusiastic greeting. She opens her mouth, then glances down to see Bruce, sniffing her immaculate heels. The stodgy woman shuffles back a step with a huff, glaring at the both of us. I don't associate with dogs. Zoe's smile fades, and the loss of it chips away at my normally unshakable good humor. The bigots in this town can insult me all they want, but Zoe doesn't deserve any of their animosity. He's friendly. Her fingers fiddling with one of Bruce's ears. The woman sniffs, her scowl focusing on me. Oh, I'm sure they seem that way. Finally done with her not subtle barbs, Mrs. Applewood clutches her purse tight to her shoulder and crosses the street before continuing on her way. To our agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Zoe's lips slowly circle the word, and I'm torn between my simmering fury and my fascination with watching her mouth move. Her chin tilts up, brown eyes catching mine. Do you think she needs medical help removing that stick from her ass? For a moment, I can do nothing but stare. Then laughter explodes through me, and I lean back against the nearest building to keep my balance as I lose it. Zoe offers an almost secretive smile. She crouches beside Bruce, muttering nonsense baby talk and giving his chest a scratch while he pants, his massive tongue lolling and his tail wagging. I suck in air through my nose, trying to stifle my unrelenting chuckles, but the deep breaths only pull in more of her maple scent, and saliva collects in my mouth. This woman is making me both horny and hungry, as if reading my mind. Zoe straightens and waves for me to continue walking. We're wasting your lunch break. I shrug but can't get rid of my grin. Any time I spend with you can't be considered a waste. A lot of girls blush and giggle when I flirt with them. It's a fun reaction. I love to hear people laugh. But Zoe doesn't get embarrassed. She offers me a sullen nod. That's true. Damn. She's perfect. Getting her to crack will be all the sweeter because she doesn't give her laughter away for free. She's making me work. I accept the challenge. Sandwiches. I shove off the wall and take a chance by reaching down to twine our fingers together. Sandwiches. She agrees. She glances at our clasped palms but doesn't pull away. I have to give her hand up when we reach the cafe and go inside to place our lunch orders. Once we're sitting down at an outside table, I lose interest in my food. There's maybe 30 minutes before I need to get back to the build site, and I want to spend them all getting to know the woman across from me. So you're in your grandma's old cabin, and you're buying up a shop's worth of power tools. Is there a remodel on the docket? Zoe offers Bruce a potato chip while answering. I wouldn't say a remodel. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. More like a revamp and a clean out. I'm just here to sort through Minnie's stuff and make the cabin prettier for sale. I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but didn't your grandmother pass close to a year back? Not my real questions. More like, why did you stay away for so long? Why haven't you been here my whole life? She did. Someone should have come down here sooner. But my mom is really busy. She has a popular morning show on the radio up in Denver. Kinda hard to take vacation. Still, Zoe hesitates, fiddling with the pickle on her plate from the little she said about it. I think living here was a not-so great childhood. I guess Minnie was kind of reclusive. She meets my eyes after that last bit. Her honeyed eyebrows raising. I nod. Didn't see her around town much. Zoe sighs as she scratches Bruce's giant block head. When I realized Mom might never come here, I decided to volunteer. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Just like that, Zoe grimaces. To be honest, I was also looking for a reason to get away from Denver. After the incident. I forced myself not to lean forward, instead picking up my sandwich. One huge bite keeps my mouth full and too busy to pester for more details. Zoe chomps down on a chip and stares off into space. I wonder if I've lost her attention, or if she didn't mean to let that slip. Still, I want to push her. I want to know all there is to learn about Zoe Gunner. To distract myself, I reach under the table to slip Bruce a piece of roast beef from my sandwich. A fed dog is a good ally. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Zoe returns her attention to me. I've decided. The embarrassment is dimmed enough that I'm willing to tell you what happened.